Hi guys, we are on Unit 3, Part 2, Day 10 notes, so make sure you have pencil, paper, all of your supplies. Today we're going to be doing simplifying complex roots. Similar to yesterday, there's just one major difference. And if you look at the notes from yesterday and you look at the notes from today, they kind of look the same with the root and the number underneath it. And we're going to do a factor tree, so that's all kind of the same. The big difference for today, if you look at this very first problem, is the minus sign. So if you ever have a minus sign underneath the root, we're going to start introducing these things called imaginary numbers. So not going to overcomplicate it and do too much crazy stuff today. I just kind of want to show you the background of imaginary and kind of quickly go over this. So if I have square root of negative 60, I'm going to write this as negative 1 times 60. So all I did was took the negative away. Okay, and I'm going to highlight that so we don't forget about it. I took the negative away. Then from here, I'm going to do my normal stuff. I'm going to go ahead and do my factor tree. So what two numbers multiply to 60? The first thing I think of is 6 times 10. And then I break apart 6. What multiplies to 6? 3 times 2. And then I'm going to break apart 10. What multiplies to 10? 2 times 5. 3 is as low as it can go, 2 is as low as it can go, and 5 is as low as it can go. So now I'm going to circle my pairs, my matches, and underline my leftovers. So when I go to write this, and this is where you have to be careful, the 2 is going to come in the front, the 3 in the 5, so 3 times 5, oops, which is 3 times 5 is 15, is going to go underneath. And then I have this big thing, this new thing to remember. If I took a negative out, and there's a negative in the problem there, I need to put an I in the front of my root like this. So I put an I in the front of my, oh my goodness, I put an I in the front of my square root. So I have 2I root 15. Let's look at the next one. I have a negative, so let's take out the negative 1 times 25. The 25 is normal. Two things to point out here. I have the negative, which I'll deal with in a second, and I have square root of 25. I'm going to put a star next to this. You should know this. What is the square root of 25? That's a perfect square. That's why I put a star next to it. It's a perfect square. It's just 5. And then I put the green negative 1 because I need to put an I next to that. So I have 5I. The next one, square root of negative 88. So let's go ahead and pull out the negative 1. And I have 88. Okay, so I'll deal with this negative 1 in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and do my factor tree. 1 multiplies to 88. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is 8 times 11. What multiplies to 8? 4 times 2. I can keep branching on the 4 here. That's 2 times 2. 2 is as low as it can go, and 11, that's a prime number. 11 is as low as it can go. So let's circle the pairs, that's a match, and underline the leftovers. And let's figure out how to write this answer. So the match, 2, comes to the outside. That negative from the beginning, I have to put an I there. And then underneath the root, I have 2 times 11. So underneath the root, 2 times 11 is 22. Okay, number 4. Square root of negative 34. I'm going to do the same thing. Take out the negative. Let's deal with the 34. 34, let's branch it. What multiplies to 34? Let's see. The first thing that comes to my mind is 2 and 17. 2 and 17. 2 is as low as it can go, and 17 is as low as it can go. So the only thing I can do is I have to take out this negative, so I need the I. I got to put the I. And then these are both leftovers. They didn't get me anywhere. So 2 times 17 is going to keep me with a 34 underneath. Notice how it's different. It's not the same as what we started with. I have an I in my answer now. Okay, let's do the next one. The square root of negative 80. So let's take out the negative. and then separate the 80. So let's do my factor tree. What multiplies to 80? I do 8 times 10. What multiplies to 8? 4 times 2. What multiplies to 4? 2 times 2. Let's do the 10. What multiplies to 10? 2 times 5. I think that's as low as I can go. Let's start to circle some stuff here. Here's my match. Here's another match. And here's my leftover. So here's what we do. I have a match of 2 times another match of, times another match of 2. And then I have my negative sign. Oh my gosh, I wrote this wrong. I gotta back up. Match of 2, I put that out there, and another match of 2. So I just need a 2. And then I have the negative sign, so I need my I. And then I have a leftover 5, so that has to go underneath. The only thing I needed to do here is 2 times 2 should be a 4, and then the I, and then the root 5. And that would be my final answer. Number 6, square root of 7. So let's separate this out. -1 times 7. Let's branch off of 7. What multiplies to 7? 7 times 1. That doesn't help me at all. So the only thing I can do is take out the I and leave the root 7 because that didn't break down at all. Okay, just a couple more, just kind of looking a little different. 5 times root -20. So I have the 5 in the front, so it's just going to hang out there for a little bit. Then I have the negative, so let's take out the negative. Let's do our normal stuff. Let's branch off the 20. What multiplies to 20? I think of 2 times 10. What multiplies to 10? 2 times 5. Okay, I have a match and I have a leftover. So there's that. Let's figure out how to write this because you have to be a little bit careful. Remember this 5 in the front? Just drop it down. Keep it there. And then the circled 2's, the matches, come out in front as well. The -1 is becoming an I. And then the leftover 5 stays underneath. So let me put some more arrows here. So the 5 went to the 5. You saw that. Let's see. This circled 2, I'm making it pink, goes to that 2. The -1 goes to the I. And the leftover 5 goes to this 5. I have to clean this up because on the outside, what's 5 times 2? That's 10. And then the I. And then the root 5. And that looks much nicer. Okay, number 8, square root of -21. Okay, let's separate this. -1 times 121. 2 things to focus on. -1 is important because that's going to give me a I. And then the other important part is, what is the square root of 121? You should know that. Think about it. That is a perfect square. The square root of 121 is 11. So I write 11 and then the I goes next to it. Okay, last one. 2 times the square root of -100. So let's just write this out. The 2 goes in the front like normal. Then I have -1 times 100. I separated those. And let's do my factor tree. Actually, I don't even have to do a factor tree because the square root of 100 is a perfect square. So let's be very careful here, okay? The 2, I'm doing an arrow, is going to drop down in front. Okay? Do a different color. The -1 should be an I. And then this is the one to be careful of. Square root of 100, you should know that, is 10. Okay, the way I wrote my answer is not right. I need to write it in the proper order. The number goes first and then the I. So 2 times 10 is 20, so let's write it like that, and then the I needs to go next. And that's your final answer. I'm just kind of doing those arrows to show you where the pieces went.